Good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, January 26th. I'm Zoe for the last time this week. Did you know that the coldest record temperature on the Earth was in Antarctica, 1983, when it was negative 128.6 degrees. I bet they didn't have school that day. Today's lunch choice are cheese, pizza, or breaded fish sandwich. Be sure to wish happy birthday to Brody H. and Ariana S. this weekend. Reminders that we don't have school on Monday. It is for teachers to learn more about keeping us safe. Today is National Fun at Work Day. Okay, teachers, aides, secretaries, everyone working today, it is time for you to have some fun day. Today, to start open a package from Dr. Freese has for you. If you don't get one, stop by his room. Now, time for a joke. How did you get the ocean in half? That's weird. How do you cut the ocean in half? With a seesaw. That weather had really been crazy lately. Here at DS in the Morning, we are wondering who decides if we have a delay or cancel school, and how they made the choice. The person who decides is the superintendent, Mr. Brooks. So Emily caught up with him to ask him how he made those decisions.
Hello from PGY.
Hello, I'm Emily with DS in the Morning, and I am with our superintendent, Mr. Burke. We're going to talk about when we delay or close school because of the weather. Mr. Burke, thanks for talking to us. What do you consider when you make the decision for a school delay?
Yeah, there are a lot of things to consider when we have to make a school delay or a closing. The number one concern that we have is that our kids can get to school safely. So we have kids who are walking to school in the morning. We have kids who are waiting by the school bus to get picked up. And then we have kids who are new drivers who are driving to school in the morning. So number one, can we get everybody to school safely? Last week, our weather got so cold that we actually had pipes bursting in one of our buildings. And so we have to make sure our buildings are safe too. So in the mornings when we delay, we're trying to make sure that conditions are getting better so we can get to school safely and our buildings are safe to operate.
What information do you gather about the weather conditions to make the decision?
Well, Mrs. Sutton is our she's our bus driver, transportation supervisor. And in the mornings, we're communicating back and forth. We're usually looking at the weather the night before. If it's foggy, we have an idea that we need to get up at 4:30 in the morning and start checking roads. And so we start communicating then. I like the WeatherBug app. I feel like it's the most accurate for about 3 to 4 hours in advance, and then we also use the Weather Channel because I usually like to use a couple different apps to see if they're saying the same things. And so we're communicating, Mrs. Sutton and I are communicating in the mornings, and then I'm also communicating with all the other superintendents in Fulton County to see if they're seeing the same things. And a lot of times weather moves east. It goes from west to east. And so I kind of look at what's Archbold doing and what's Wauseon doing, because sometimes they see weather right before we do. So if they're starting to see more fog roll in, then we know that we might be getting it here soon.
What do you use technology for your process?
Yep, I use my cell phone to find apps like WeatherBug and the Weather Channel. While we're actually driving out on the roads, I'm trying not to look at my phone while I'm driving. Because one, the roads are usually not good, so I need to keep all my focus on the road. So I'm using all my hands-on texting and calling. Again, I'm communicating with Mrs. Sutton, who is communicating to our bus drivers of either hold on, we might be delaying, and she's driving the roads to see if she thinks things are safe as well. She knows the roads from a bus driver's perspective, and so I'm also communicating with the superintendents in Fulton County, and that's usually through text messaging. And again, I'm using hands-free texting to try to make sure all that goes through. And with that, if you've ever done hands-free texting, not all of the text comes through as you're trying to say it. So sometimes I have to pull over on the side of the road and make sure all of our communication is making sense. So those are the big things. We're using weather apps on our phones. We're calling and texting the people that we trust.
When do you make these decisions?
We make these decisions as early as 4:30 in the morning, depending on how bad the conditions are on the roads. So if it's foggy, like it was this morning, we made that decision pretty early because we knew, hey, we're going to need some time to reevaluate between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. We know our first buses go out at 6:20, so that if you give our bus drivers 15 to 20 minutes to get to the bus garage, we know we need to make a call before 6 a.m. And then after we delay to make the closing call, we need to make that call before 8:20 or 8:15. So we're usually up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. We're reevaluating the roads to see if it's safe to go out.
Best way to find out if we have a delay or cancellation?
The best way to find out if we have a delay or cancellation is we send it out in 3 different ways. We send out a text message, we send out a phone call, and then we're contacting the news organizations like ABC 13. So you'll see a ticker on the bottom of the screen that'll say Pike Delta York Schools 2-hour delay. So if you're not getting the text messages, your family can go on Final Forms and update your registration and make sure your emergency contacts you allow that we can send a phone call or a text.
What is the most difficult part of making the decision to close?
That is probably one of the most difficult parts of my job, is deciding whether we go to school or we close. We're trying to strike that balance between having a safe, warm place to be every day with warm meals and a quality education with, is it safe enough to get to school? So for example, this morning we had fog and we did a 2-hour delay because it was really foggy about 5:30 in the morning. So we wanted some time for the sun to come up so we could see a little bit better. It was still a little foggy around 8 o'clock when we were making the call of whether to close or just keep on a 2-hour delay. And we decided we had enough visibility that we could get people safely to school. Because we're always trying to strike that, can we get them to school and educate them and give them a safe place to be for the day and warm meals, versus is it really safe enough for them to get here and can we get them here safely? So that's always a really tough decision that we have to make. But ultimately, our student safety is going to come first. But if we can get them to school and teach them, we're going to do that too.
Wow, I never knew that you had to do all that. Thank you so much for taking the time to explain to us and trying to keep us safe.
Thanks, Evelyn. I'm John Burke. I'm superintendent at PDYS Schools, and I am proud to be a Panther. I invite you to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and visit our website at pdys.org.
I did not know all of that. Thank you, Evelyn and Mr. Burke. That's it for DS in the Morning. Have a great Friday and a weekend, Panthers.